What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you guys, and I'm here to do another interview for you. And this is kind of going with the theme of 80s slashers, like doing my series Gotta Love These 80s Slashers. And I have somebody really special on the phone. He directed one of my favorite modern slasher films that takes place back in the 80s, and if you haven't seen it yet, I am going to talk about it and you gotta pick it up. But I'm talking with Justin Russell, the director, writer, editor, and I think producer, if I'm correct. let me just introduce Justin Russell. Here he is. How are you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and once again, thank you for doing this interview with me.
Not a problem. Happy to do it.
So let me get this correct. You're the director, writer, editor, and producer. Is it all four of those?
Yeah.
Yes, I got it right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and I shot it. So.
Okay, so you had like a lot of things going with this movie. I give you props because the movie turned out awesome.
Thanks a lot.
So,
most of the time, I wear that amount of hats out of necessity rather than, like, wanting to do that. It's like when you have a budget as low as mine for the film, it's like you can't really pay people to do all those jobs, so you end up having to do them yourself.
Well, you know what? It turned out great. And from, like, I was watching the documentary, you guys shot this in 12 days?
It was, 13 actually.
13 days. Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I give you props for all that stuff. So
I appreciate that.
Well,
yeah, it was extremely ambitious. I mean, going into it, basically budgeting it out and knowing that we had to do it in 13 days, and then, just trying to make it happen, and all the locations kind of sort of worked out that we could get it done in 13 days if we moved with it. So, I don't like to waste any time. I like to get there and shoot it and know exactly what I'm going into before we go into the production, just to make sure it goes smooth.
Well, it turned out fantastic. And before we do the interview, I do want to say, if you guys haven't picked it up yet, I have the combo box set here with the VHS and the DVD. And I was just talking to you about this. That VHS turned out perfect. I watched it the other night. Absolutely loved it. Is there anywhere where people can get this? I know they can get it on Amazon. Is there any other sites where they can get this?
Yeah, they can get it on our website at gammaknifefilms.com. And I'm also offering it. It's on eBay right now. There's, I think, like 15 of them left there. And we're down to, I believe it is our last 100 now. I think it's a little bit under 100, and then we're going to keep a couple back just for conventions and stuff. So, and they're, I usually get about 10 to 15, 20 orders a week, so they're almost gone. Well,
if you guys haven't picked it up yet, definitely pick it up. And if you just want to get the standard DVD, pick it up as well. I've had friends who've watched this, and, a lot of them have gave it positive reviews. But if you haven't seen it yet, in my opinion, it's one of the best modern horror movie slasher films, but it's a throwback to the 80s, and why don't you give like a plot without spoiling anything to anybody who hasn't watched it?
Yeah, it's set in 1981, and it follows two sorority sisters, well, actually soon-to-be sorority sisters, that are going to pledge, Amy and Ava, as they pick the wrong sorority of Alpha Gamma Theta. And once they've done that, it's basically straight up slasher plot. He starts knocking the girls off one by one after the party with the sex, the drinking, the boys. You can't do that. That's all wrong for a slasher. So
if you do that, you're dead. You are dead.
Yeah.
Some people survive, though. I've seen, like, slasher films where you see those people who do those naughty things. They actually survive at the end, and I'm like, why did you survive? So
yeah, sometimes it happens. I don't know. They try to break the rules, and in fact, we got a lot of shit for it. A lot of people said, like, oh, he didn't do anything different. I was like, man, if I would have done something different, I think somebody would have been pretty pissed off about it. So I tried to stay as true to the genre, especially the genre in 1981, as I could.
No, and I think you did a great job. There is going to be a question about this scene later on when I give you the questions, but I love the dance scene. And for some reason, when I was watching that dance scene, all I could think about is like the Jamie Lee Curtis disco dancing in Prom Night. So
you nailed it.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. I was literally like dancing to it the other night when I was watching the VHS because I love the music and that dance scene in the sleeper.
That's awesome.
I just had to dance.
It's a very controversial scene. It's either loved or hated. There is no in between. In fact, the movie a lot is like that too. From all the reviews that I've gotten from it, it's a love or hate relationship with most people.
Well, I know that a lot of the friends that I have gave it like positive reviews, and I could see why. I've seen this movie probably about 4 times now. So, and it's one of those ones where you get friends together and you get food and you watch it. And you watch like Prom Night with it or something. So, absolutely amazing.
Thanks. That's exactly what I wanted it to be. You know, a film that was fun. A lot of people like really get into the plot and really get into all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know, for me it was like cool killer, kills every 10 minutes, you know, cute girls, fun music, you know, it's like that kind of stuff. And I wanted to just be like a fun movie. I didn't want it to be like some kind of, you know, big thought piece. So I'm glad that some people get that, especially yourself.
Yeah, it came across as just fun. It's definitely one to get pizza or popcorn and a good drink with. So, but yeah, so we are going to get started with the interview. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, first question, and we kind of talked about this just a minute ago, but the first one is, where did the idea for the sleeper come from? And I'm assuming it's because you love 80s slashers.
Yes, I absolutely love 80s slashers. They are my favorite through and through. And my first film, Death Stop Holocaust, was a slasher film, but it was a little bit different. It was more kind of a new retro, is sort of what I would call that, where it wasn't necessarily a throwback film, but more of a timeless type of style piece. But I always wanted to do my 80s slasher, and I finally got the idea one evening. I'd fallen asleep, woke up in the middle of the night, and my door was open a crack, and I thought, man, I thought I shut my door, and that was really weird, and I thought, that would actually be a pretty cool slasher film if some guy came in and killed you at your most vulnerable when you were asleep.
Oh, wow.
And so that idea kind of, you know, I wrote it down, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then after, you know, the next couple of months, 3 months or so, I just sorted out the details and started rocking it out.
Well, it came out great. I really, really enjoyed it. And the next question kind of goes with the first one. What was the writing and also the film process like for the movie?
The writing process was pretty easy. I have a certain way that I write films, where I kind of make like an outline first, and I kind of, you know, outline characters and outline all these plot points and details and everything like that. And then after that, it's usually a pretty easy writing process because it goes pretty smoothly after I've, you know, laced out an outline like that. And the entire film, I mean, I think it was less than a year from idea to completion and distribution for it, because I wrote it in September of 2010. We started production in February of 2011, and then, you know, released it in January of 2012. So. Oh
wow! Well,
yeah,
it came out great. Like it just, you know, you would never think that it was like 13 days. I mean, that's great that you guys were able to do that all in 13 days.
Well, and that comes from like a lot of pre-planning. You know, when you go into a film, that's a lot of independent films' problems is they don't value pre-production as much as they should. And with me, I'm very meticulous, and I have all my shots planned out. I have all, you know, the direction planned out, and there's room for a little improvisation, but for the most part, you know, it's pretty laced and ironed out, and I know exactly what to do and what I want when we get there. So.
Okay. Well, the next question I have, of course, is casting, and you cast a lot of great people on this, but the 3 I'm really going to talk about, the first one was, of course, the final girl, the lead actress. I believe her name was Amy, if I'm correct. And,
yes.
Yes. Oh, well, good. 2 thumbs up for me, then, because that, yeah, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, there were a lot of names floating around there. I don't actually think they said her name very often in the film, so.
Well, watching it 4 times, I'm glad I remembered it, so.
Yeah, you got it.
How was casting her? How did you approach that actress? Was she a friend of yours, or was it just a normal casting?
A lot of the actors came very coincidental. It was more or less, they're all Ohio-based actors, and it's a small area, especially here in Columbus, where we kind of shot the film. We shot it a little bit outside of Columbus, but yeah, I mean, once you cast one person, they have a friend, and then an agency. That's where I found her, actually. But then she had friends. In fact, she got us in touch with Paul Moon, who played Bobby, the lead frat boy in the film.
Yeah.
And he got us in touch with another, Derek, who played the other frat boy. And so it was, it's kind of a nepotism sort of thing. We basically cast one or two people, and then the rest of it was like, oh, you have to try this person. And then, it was really difficult to find that many people that had such an available schedule, because it was really, we cast it pretty quick and had a really fast turnaround. So.
Well, that's great, and I thought the lead actress, the final girl, was great in the movie. I especially love that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I especially love that she did a lot of running in this movie too, especially towards the end. And
well, that whole chase scene, that was a lot of fun, and it was absolutely freezing. And she was a trooper, and I think she either had at that point or was about to. I think she broke her toe at some point, or at least sprained it pretty badly. And she was still rocking it out for me. So.
Well, that is awesome, and I thought you picked a great lead final girl in the movie. So great job with that. And then I want to talk about Joe Bob Briggs, because everybody knows, if you're a horror movie fan, you know who Joe Bob Briggs is. How did you get him involved?
Joe Bob is an amazing, amazing man, as we all know. And as you mentioned, if you don't know who Joe Bob Briggs is, then I wouldn't consider you a horror fan. I mean, you got to know who Joe Bob is. I grew up with him, but he was really easy actually to approach. I was friends with him on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And I messaged him, and it was just as simple as that. And I said, would you like to do this? I'd love to have you on board for just this little cameo and to do a drive-in total. The TBS Monster Vision and all that stuff, or TNT, sorry. And he's like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm going to put you in touch with his assistant. And then I started talking to her, and we ended up settling and casting him and flying him out. So.
Okay. Now, the killer. I love the killer in this movie. Let's think of the question. Where did the idea for the killer come from? And, how did you get this? How did you approach this actor, or the guy who played the killer? Yeah, totally.
With the actual approach to, the design of the killer was largely based on a lot of the old Giallo films, the Italian style, Black Glove Killer, the Prom Night style, even the Black Christmas we've been referenced to a lot, was more based around his gloves and his voice. Mm-hmm. And after that, it was literally a week before we began, I thought, I'm going to show his face at some point, just because that's not a very common thing to do in slashers, but I really want to do that.
Yeah.
I thought, I wanted to have something else. I want there to be another little thing, and I contacted a contact lens company in Oregon called 9mm Effects, and he hand paints contact lenses.
Oh, wow.
And I got those kind of cataract-style lenses, which I think added a really strong dynamic to his character and his presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as the actor is concerned, I met him. He's a friend of a friend, and we were all together one evening, and he just got a very intense presence.
He does.
In a great way. And he's a director, but he's also wanting to be an actor, and he's very passionate about it. So I knew he'd bring it 100% to the character. And it also helped that in no way that he was a huge fan of horror films, especially the 80s stuff, so he got it through and through. So, that was really helpful for him to have that knowledge and to be able to go through the script and say, oh, you were kind of referencing pieces here, weren't you? I'm like, wow. Yeah, I was. So, Jay and I, we gelled like crazy, and it was really fun to work with him, and I definitely want to continue with him in the future.
Well, that's great that you got somebody who's a fan of these 80s slasher films and 80s horror films as well. So, and it turned out great because he is very, very creepy. His moves,
Yeah,
the fact that he runs with the hammer at the end of the movie was like, wow. That was really impressive.
Yeah, that was a really cool shot, and in fact, that was in a children's daycare facility.
Oh my gosh.
That whole school, that ending like theater and everything was like this old children's daycare in Springfield, and they were nice enough to let me shoot there. I just told them it was a thriller. They didn't really ask that many questions, and they just let us come in, and they had this really smooth floor, so we were able to just like move the dolly around. If you watch the making of, you can see all those shots and how my key grip and gaffer is just pulling this dolly down the street, or down this little avenue hallway, and we're just running around with him with a hammer. So a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. And now you can, you go back to that daycare and say, I shot there. A children's place,
Yeah.
I shot a horror movie at, so it's great.
Exactly. No, I'll never tell them what the title was, so that way they can't hunt it down. And they signed a release form, so I guess they can't say anything. But
I can just imagine like one of the daycare employees like checking out the sleeper one day and say, "Wait a minute, that's like the hallway at our daycare." So that would be great.
That would be pretty classic.
Oh gosh, yeah, I can imagine it, but yeah, great job with that, and also like the fact that you use like the killer's weapon is a hammer, so I love that.
Yeah, you got to go different, and I don't know what made me think of that as a tool of destruction, but he gets creative as well. He finds an axe lying around, and he does a lot.
He even uses his hands, so I mean, that's awesome.
He's a mammoth man. He's ready to kill any way he can.
He's not just one person that will use one thing. He uses everything that he can get his hands on.
Exactly.
So, next question, going back to the dance scene. How was filming that, and who came up with that choreography?
Filming it was a blast. It was like the second to last day before we wrapped, and we all were kind of, just like done with production at that point. You get to that certain place, and it's like, so that was the perfect thing to kind of end out with, is this dance scene. And you referenced it perfectly. It was taken because of prom night, the Jamie Lee Curtis dancing, all that stuff, and a little bit of Teen Wolf, a little bit. Those 80s movies always had dance scenes. And I'm like, I'm throwing one in. I don't care what people think. We got this track from James Curd, really awesome guy, and he just does these simple mixes like that with this guy named J-Dub, and I loved the song. I thought that was such a great song, Live Forever, and it's kind of, sort of ironic that you're playing a song called Live Forever in the middle of a death movie, so people are dying and it's called Live Forever, but the woman that choreographed it was she was the one in the middle of the dance in the front. Her name's Corey Sumner. So
that was awesome. And literally though, like I said, when I was watching it the other night, because I think the song's catchy, I think the dance is catchy, I was like moving my hands around and moving my feet around, sitting in the chair dancing to it. So
that's fantastic.
I do that a lot in the car. So if I'm sitting in the passenger seat and an 80s song pops up, I tend to like snap the fingers and everything. So
oh yeah, you got to get moving. That's why I love the 80s, the music and everything.
Oh my gosh,
it's what it is.
Yeah, people will look at me sometimes, like if I'm sitting in the passenger seat, especially my dad, and he'll look at me like, "Don't do that," and I'm like, you know what, I love it. But brilliant scene, and I love that you're the DJ. That little cameo.
You gotta do a cameo.
Yes. Alfred Hitchcock did a cameo, so Justin Russell's gonna do a cameo. So
Exactly.
But great scene. I loved it. My favorite scene, actually, is the dance scene.
Well, that's brilliant. That's good to hear.
Okay, so next goes to 1981, and the fact that you the present day is 1981 in the film. Out of all the years in the 80s, in the 80s decade, why did you choose 1981?
in my opinion, and I think in several other people's opinion, it was kind of the golden age of slashers. I mean,
agree.
you know, 81, for some reason, it just, those were the best. I mean, those were the best, and I think that was the strongest year for the slasher, and you know, they kind of tapered off after like 85 or whatever. So I wanted to pick it, and that little golden time was right there in 1981, right when all the holiday films were coming out and all that stuff.
That's what I thought. Like, when I was watching it the other night, I was like, why 81? And then I thought about it, and it is the golden age of a lot of 80s slashers that came out. I mean, you had The Burning.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you had Halloween in like 79, or I guess it was in 78. Yeah, I think it was 78. But then, you know, Black Christmas and everything was way before that. But then, you know, Friday the 13th came out in 1980, and everybody just started copying it. You know, I mean, you're looking at, in 81, I think it was The Burning, it was Friday the 13th Part 2, it was My Bloody Valentine was 1981.
Halloween
like,
2.
That was a, yeah, this huge year for that.
Well, I that's what I was curious about, why you picked 1981, and I guessed that, and I was like, I'm just going to ask the question anyway, so, you know.
Yeah.
Going with artwork, I'm going to show this awesome combo edition again. Look at that freaking artwork right there. And then you take a look at the DVD, and totally different artwork, but they both work well. So, my question is, where did you come up with that artwork for both the VHS combo, the poster, and then the DVD? All those different artworks.
Yeah. My brother Aaron, who's sort of like my executive producer, and he's a huge supporter of everything, and in fact was the one that got me into horror films. He was he's 2 years older than I was, so he just, you know, get a license and start driving and rent these films before I could. Yeah. And he'd kind of bring them into the house, and he'd get to show me. So him and I have always kind of had an affinity for these films, and so we're pretty like-minded with that. And, you know, he's a really great designer, and when we sit down to kind of go into a film, we kind of have an idea of what we want to do, and, you know, I'll give him a pretty basic concept of what I'm thinking, and, you know, he'll spin it a few different ways, and we'll just come up with some stuff. And, you know, I'm a huge fan of the retro boxes, anything from, you know, the old video shelves and all that kind of stuff with the stars and the rainbows and all that stuff on it. So that was my big piece for the DVD box, or the VHS box. I was like, you know, it's got to have the rainbows on it and all that kind of stuff. And he added a little hi-fi stereo and all that stuff, and it was just perfect.
And I love that on the VHS you had the 15 cents charge if you don't rewind it. And that was great. Oh my gosh, you like added like the little detail like that. Awesome.
You know, it was basically making it an experience for everybody, because for me, watching horror films like that, especially on VHS, was an experience. I experienced most of my favorite movies on VHS as a kid. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to kind of recreate that for those that had the same experience, or people that didn't have that, you know, newer fans that are going to watch this for the first time and maybe get to have that fun experience on VHS. And so finding those little stickers and all those little details like that were really important to me.
And I think you did a great job with that, and talking about like a new generation of horror movie fans. They're not going to have that experience going to the video store, looking at the VHS covers, renting all those amazing horror movie VHS tapes.
Right.
So to put that and to add that design is going to be great for them, because they're going to know what it was like back then.
Yeah, to get a little taste of it, because I mean that's sort of how it all happened for me. I just, you know, I've referenced this in a couple of interviews, but you know, I would go through and a lot of films that I would see, like Slumber Party Massacre. I remember vividly seeing that at Blockbuster, and I always wanted to see that. It was like he had this, you know, corkscrew guitar for Slumber Party Massacre 2, and I was like, man, I really want to see these movies. So it was that allure of the box that, you know, I wanted to kind of bring forward for the sleeper.
Yes, I agree. Like, you used to go into those video stores and see all those different covers, and, you know, you didn't know what the movie was most of the time, but you saw that cover and you're like, I want to see that. I remember seeing Cheerleader Camp, and I had not seen the movie till years and years later, but I remember a local video store had that. They had Fright Night Part 2, so many of them that I can name off. And you just remember those memories.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of people, you know, when they go into horror films or they ask you why you make them or why you're so fascinated with them, and I don't think they understand that it's more of the experience. And it's not really, you know, it's not about what they think it's about. They go, oh, you know, it's so evil. And it's like, no, it's not really. It's a good time. It's not. There's something pure about it. And I you know, I know that sounds weird, but I think you probably understand that as well.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I mean,
yeah,
it's great, and you know, it's fun to. Well, it was fun being able to go into those video stores and see. Just those amazing titles, and some were scary, some were funny, you know, some were so bad it was good, but you know, as you know, especially as a young kid, I wanted to see those all those different movies.
Yeah, totally.
So the next question is, you know, I noticed when I was watching the movie, every time you have different elements in this film from different other slashers. You have Black Christmas with the setting, which looks amazing. Prom Night, which we talked about. Friday the 13th with the ending of, you know, the final girl thinking she's safe, and the killer comes up behind her, and she wakes up, and it was a dream. I love that. And then, I don't know if a lot of people notice this when they watch the movie, but the one scene where, I believe it's Bobby, he's running down the stairs after, you know, making love with his girlfriend. Naughty thing to do in these movies. He looks back up, and it's similar to Halloween. In the beginning of John Carpenter's Halloween, where you see Judith's boyfriend coming down the stairs, and he looks back up. Did you get that from that?
Yes.
Yes, see?
You know, all those references like that, yeah, it's like, you know, you kind of... and it's sort of, I guess, some artists would be defined as like, you know, good artists borrow, great artists steal kind of thing, and you know, I think there's some truth to that. And what I like to do is I like to take all my influences, much like, not to compare myself to, but I know he does it, like a Tarantino, where he'll take all these different elements that he really enjoys and really loves it and put them into his own film, sort of like a remix of it. And that's sort of what I, you know, like to do. I like to take all the films that I really love, especially if you're doing a retro piece, a retro slasher like that.
Yeah.
You have to copy elements. I mean, if you don't, people are going to be like, this is not a slasher. So it was basically combining all of those different types of films, what you were referencing, and there's even some more. If you listen to my commentary on the DVD, I think I even go into most of the scenes and elements. You know, there's Slumber Party Massacre stuff, there's House and Sorority Row stuff, and basically just melding it all down and kind of creating this new film.
And you combined it very well together, though. I mean, I really enjoyed that a lot, and you know, it's going to be great for fans, especially who've seen those films in the 80s and the 70s. It's going to be great for them when they watch this to recognize those little elements. And I think every time you watch the movie, you recognize even more.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, that's one of those things, and maybe something you don't pick up on, and then you watch it again, and something else that kind of shines through.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, and you know, I always notice little things with the movie every time I watch it. So when I did my review, I had to mention some of those. I was like, that is from that, and that is kind of like that, and just those references are amazing.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad somebody picks up on it and appreciates it.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it, especially the Black Christmas set, like the similar Black Christmas setting and the house. I mean, just awesome. I think I could watch The Sleeper and the original Black Christmas as a double feature because I just love that snowy atmosphere.
Yeah, I do too. You know, it was funny because a lot of people have mentioned Black Christmas a lot, and that was probably the least of my influences, which was funny because, you know, once you put it in a sorority and it's in the snow and it's a guy calling the house, it's like, oh, that's Black Christmas. But it wasn't really that intentional. I mean, I just kind of I didn't want to do a high school, so I decided to do a, you know, college, and I'm like, well, it's got to be girls, and it just happened to be winter, and I'm like, well, that'd be kind of a cool, you know, thing, and then the calls were actually taken more from Prom Night than they were from Black Christmas, and
that's
and
what
that
I
kind
thought
of thing,
too.
so. It's just sort of by happenstance, but I wanted to create a different environment, and I think having it in a sorority house and it being in the winter, there's not many films like that, and I don't think there is a lot of horror films that even take place in the winter, so that's kind of cool.
No, not at all. I mean, you have a rare few of those, so I think that was great, and it's really interesting that you say that it was one you didn't really think of too much of Black Christmas when you were making it. So I mean, that's just awesome. Right. And I love the old buildings. I love the setting. I love that the house, the sorority house. I thought you captured all those 80s and 70s slasher films that we love in the movie.
Well, thanks. Yeah, that was kind of lucky. I mean, I wrote the movie around my hometown because I knew most of those locations existed, but a lot of that kind of stuff just came, like the sorority house and stuff, just with some luck. I mean, finding that house, being able to rent it for the entire month, and then I had to prop it out and buy all these different props and all that kind of stuff. And I think it turned out well for the budget and what we had to put into it.
It turned out really well, and I give you props for that again. So great job with that. The next question is, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, but since the film's been released, how have people responded to it overall?
It's it goes back and forth. I think it's pretty mixed. I think it's a love or hate kind of movie. I think, and that's a good thing. I think you don't really want in-betweeners as a filmmaker. I think a love or hate, those two types of strong emotions, I think that's perfect. And I expected that, when you go into something like that and you're trying to recreate something someone loves, you're going to have people that think you failed miserably, and I think you're going to have people like yourself that think it went, it met their expectations. Yeah. And with the artwork the way it was, and the packaging that we did for it with the VHS and everything like that, it was, it was bold. I mean, that's basically making a statement that you made like this ultimate slasher. And I think people went into it a little bit with, some people with a little bit too high expectation. But for the most part, I think it's generally good. I think for every bad review, there's probably 3 really good reviews. So for the most part, a lot of people have seen it, and that's what I really set out to do, was just to have a lot of people see it and have a fun experience with it.
Oh yeah, and it goes back to even 80s, 70s horror movies, and movies, from years and years. You're going to have people who love it or hate it, a movie. And so there you captured something else from the 80s. So give you props for that one too.
Right. If somebody gave me a really negative review, and to me it was my favorite one because it was actually positive.
Yeah.
They said, this slasher movie it felt like an 80s slasher movie, but it felt like one of those forgettable ones. They said more like those Canadian-style films, like the Terror Train and the My Bloody Valentine and stuff. And to me, that was a huge compliment, because the way I wanted the film to feel was, I wanted to feel like it was a studio that was capitalizing on this slasher, that was happening during that time. I wanted this to be a film that you thought, oh, this was one I missed in 1981, and I think that's, if somebody said that, I think that's a complete success on my part.
Well, that is awesome. So congratulations on that for you.
Thanks.
Okay. And then one of the last questions. I actually have some in my head as well, but on the film itself, any ideas for a sequel?
I don't know if I would. I mean, I've got so many other story ideas and things that I want to do. Doing a sequel has never been too interesting to me. And Adam Green and stuff with Hatchet. He's doing 3 of them now. I don't think he's directing the 3rd one and all that kind of stuff. But it just sort of takes up so much time. And I love a lot of the other ideas I have. I would do it. I would do one because I think enough people have wanted to see one, and I think it'd be fun to really spin it differently. Yeah. And put new elements into Sleeper 2 and kind of make it, maybe even like a Texas Chainsaw 2, where it's a little bit, kind of spoofy or whatever. More, like Summer Party Massacre 2, that kind of thing, where it's kind of fun almost. It's like a comedy in some aspects. So I would definitely do one. That
would be great. And you have a trailer, and you actually see a poster in the movie too called, I believe it's Don't Go in the Attic. Am I right?
That's it.
Is there any ideas that you might do a full-on movie to that?
I don't think so.
Well,
There's been a few requests from some people that you've got to make this, but that was like an absolute ridiculous no plot idea that my friend had some 16mm film, and he's like, we should do something, and I was like, all right, I'll write a stupid Grindhouse trailer, and we'll get a couple buddies together and shoot this stupid thing, and it was just fun. I mean, we had my dad's chainsaw and our friend Ken. You know, we put a weird mask on him. He had that long hair, and it was a couple summers ago, so it was like 120 degrees in this attic as we're filming this thing, but it was a good time.
Well, that's good. And you know what? You make it believable, though, like it's like an actual 80s trailer, so I love that.
Yeah, well, I wanted it to feel like some kind of old Fulci film or something you'd see, like some weird Italian slasher that never was released, and it was just like, where the hell is this thing? I gotta see it, so.
Yeah, that's what I got from it. You have those movies that you see the trailer and you never see the movie. Unless it's like a really out-of-print Region 2 copy or something that you can never find.
Yeah, exactly. And it's from a VHS dub. It's not even like a real DVD release.
Yeah. That's great.
Yep.
Now, I have fun questions for you. Fun questions. This first question is, do you have any favorite modern horror movies?
That is a good one. Modern horror film. What is the... You know, it's tough, because I'm very... I don't like a lot of new ones, especially the ones that get in the theaters. You know, a lot of direct-to-DVD stuff has been really good recently. There's two films, and this I'll just mention these because they're on the top of my head right now. There were two films that I had just seen. One of them's more of a thriller. It's called The Caller. Have you seen that?
I have. Is it the one about the girl who gets those crazy calls?
In the apartment?
Yes.
And it's like from the past?
Yes. Oh, I've seen it. I really enjoyed that. Yeah,
that was pretty good. I mean, it was creepy, and it was definitely shot really well, and I really enjoyed that one. Mm-hmm. And I can't think of the other one that I'm thinking of now. It's really weird. I don't think you can buy the DVD in the U.S. And it was on Netflix streaming. It was like called the Shrine or the Shire or the Shrine, something. I think it's called the Shrine. And that was pretty creepy.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was like demonic possession movie. I think that it was released in Canada. It might be out now in the U.S. or whatever, but I saw it on Netflix and really dug it. It was really creepy, and it had a good vibe to it.
That's really good. Like one that I think about right now that I really enjoyed, that was supposed to get a theatrical release but never did, was Trick or Treat, the new one, or the 2009 one.
Yeah, 2009 was a great year for horror. I mean, we had, in basically the month of October, we had Trick or Treat and House of the Devil. I mean, that was a great month.
Oh, yeah.
And it's odd. Trick or Treat should have been in the theater. I mean, it's an abomination that it wasn't in the theater, and, we continue to get Saw and that kind of shit as released, and, it's like, wow. So, I would love to see, I mean, I see a lot of direct-to-DVD stuff, horror stuff, and I'm like, why was this not theatrical? I mean, it should have been.
I know, I mean, I could just picture it now. I would love to do this, like, take The House of the Devil, take Trick or Treat, take The Sleeper even, and have, like, every Halloween, have, like, an all-day marathon, like, grab your popcorn, go to the theater, and watch all these films back-to-back.
That would be amazing.
Oh, my gosh.
There's something about it, too, because, my brother and I love to go to the cinema to see horror films. They don't happen very often. They don't get released very much. I think, Hollywood has got it down to there's only like six or so a year that even get put into the theater. Yeah. And it's a shame. And a lot of it's not the original stuff. I think there's a lot of Hollywood is scared to take risks, and they're scared to bring in new talent and to try new films. Yeah. And it's a shame because we're missing out on a lot of good stuff that's underground. So that's, I guess, and with DVD going the way it is and everything, I just hope we all kind of figure out some kind of, I don't know, arrangement for independent art, because it's the good stuff. Everybody can buy a camera now and do some really great work. I'm seeing a lot of it, and I hope to see more of it. Oh,
I did too, and like you said, there's a lot of movies that are coming out on DVD, Blu-ray that sometimes people just miss and they never hear about them. And
Right.
it's a real shame because a lot of that stuff is the best stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So, okay, now that you're a fan of 80s slashers, the next question is, and because you have amazing artwork on The Sleeper, what's some of your favorite 80s slasher artworks?
Ooh, oh man, that's a good one. My favorite 80s slasher artwork. Well, it's hard sometimes because you see the beautiful, like, first release one-sheets and stuff like that for some of these movies, and unfortunately sometimes studios go back on these re-releases for the DVD and they butcher it, they just change it and make it, like, modern.
Yeah.
So that's the tough part. But I have actually a large collection of original one-sheets from movies. And some of my favorite artwork is the Prom Night one-sheet. I love that one.
I do too.
I think my favorite poster and tagline from the 80s is the Nightmare on Elm Street. With Nancy, if she doesn't wake up screaming, she won't wake up at all. And it's got his claw coming down over her in the bed. I think that is just so iconic.
I love that one. I have that poster. I don't have a one sheet, but I do have the poster. And every time I'm watching a movie, I always turn to it, and it's right there. I love that one.
Yeah.
I recently picked up a couple one sheets. I picked up this weekend. It's one of those so bad it's good movies, but The Howling 2 poster.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. $15, baby, and I picked it up.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of basically, my favorite director is Dario Argento, and I have a Dario basically collection of all his one sheets, and I love. Some of the different countries did some really great stuff, and like for his Tenebrae release. And for opera, I have a huge opera poster, and that's some of that artwork. I mean, just those old drawings and how much time they used to spend on that stuff. It's just gorgeous looking stuff that no one takes that time anymore. I mean, half the Hollywood movies now are just pictures of a person standing in front of a white wall or something. It's like, where's the creativity in that?
Oh, I know. I think my favorite 80s artwork and a one sheet I have is definitely Deadly Blessing, Wes Craven's. Have you seen that?
I don't think I have.
Oh my gosh, that's actually getting released by Scream Factory, coming out later on. So I highly recommend picking that one up. I absolutely love that one.
Oh,
and in fact,
for sure.
I'm gonna go crazy and say it's my second favorite Wes Craven movie after Nightmare on Elm Street. I know he did a lot, but I love it.
I think that's fine to say. You know, in fact, Wes, I don't know, he's hit or miss for me because a lot of his movies are pretty bad. And he had some really good ones. I'm not saying he didn't. In fact, I mean, he created Freddy, so it's like, yeah, you got to give him props. But man, there's some bad ones out there. Like New Nightmare, what are you thinking? Just don't do it. Just don't.
New Nightmare?
But yeah, but he did Scream. So, I mean, you got to give him props, I guess, for doing Scream because it was a really a turn on the genre, and I thought that was good.
See, I enjoyed New Nightmare. It's not like I actually prefer 1 through 5 over New Nightmare. But I definitely liked it better than Freddy's Dead.
Yeah, I've only seen it once, so I can't be too hard on it. But, you know, it's definitely, I think, the worst one in the franchise. You gotta love Dream Warriors. And
yes.
In fact, the second one's really good, too. But
I love the second one. I love the second movie. Gosh, what? Oh, but yes, you know, you were saying that directors, they all have their hit and misses, so, I mean, it's good.
Exactly.
It's definitely a good thing, so, what other questions? Now, these ones I gotta think of. I'm just trying to come up with some fun ones. Okay. Now, this one, it's a silly question, but if you were stuck on an island, Justin Russell, and you can only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
3 movies, is that what you said?
No, 3 things. Just things. 3 things.
3 things. Jeez. That's a tough one there. Stuck on an island by myself, right?
Yes, by yourself.
No one else?
By yourself. You can bring a person.
I can bring a person. All right, cool. Well, Well, I have no significant other. I'd probably bring my bro so we could hang out and watch bad movies. So then I'd bring a TV and a DVD player with Salem's Lot, 'cause that's our favorite movie. And there we go. That's
Okay.
the three.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So, other questions. What can I think of? What is your favorite food and drink to watch with the movie?
Food to watch for the movie?
Mm-hmm.
I am going to go straight up. I'm going to go old school. I think popcorn with a movie is where it's at.
Yes, yes. You gotta have popcorn with the movie. You just have to.
Exactly. And, you know, you can even watch the classic from 1993. You can watch Popcorn and
yes.
eat popcorn and watch the horror film
Oh my
Popcorn.
gosh, yes. Like, you know, watch popcorn and eat popcorn. So, I just
Exactly.
I love that movie. Oh my gosh. So
It's an
cheesy.
interesting flick. I just saw that this year and I was like, wow. I don't even think I think it's out of print currently, if I'm correct, but
Yeah, I actually watched it yesterday again. So
it's an awesome flick.
oh yes. Oh yes. And favorite drink, real quick. Favorite drink to watch
Favorite
with one.
drink?
To watch with one.
You know, I'm not a big drinker, so I just go straight up H2O, man.
Woo!
Water.
Oh yes.
That's what I'm. Exactly. That's how bold I get.
You are crazy. I'm actually drinking water right now, so I don't have
There you go. You got to stay hydrated, and the heat we're in now, you know, it's like 100 here, so you got to keep it hydrated.
Oh my gosh, yes, and the conventions I've been to, they've been pretty hot. They've been pretty hot. So,
Oh yeah.
but yes, H2O, the way to go. All I gotta say.
There you go. Exactly, and then you can rhyme with it, and we can create another James Curt song for another dance scene in Sleeper 2.
Yeah, H2O, the way to go.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Gosh, oh, that is great. And convention-wise, are you going to be attending any, either promoting The Sleeper or any of your films, or just going anywhere?
Yes, I think we are going to be doing. We're going to hope to do Whorehound in Indianapolis, and I believe that is in September. I need to check that date again because we're definitely wanting to do that one. We hear it's got 10,000 plus that usually attend that, and we're looking forward to being at that one. So.
Oh, wow, that's going to be fun. And did you hear about Miss Jamie Lee Curtis going to November Whorehound?
I did not. I knew she was signing up for one, but that's pretty spectacular. I'm sure that's going to have a huge turnout. So.
Oh, yeah, she's going to be coming. They're actually doing a Whorehound in November, so now I'll let you know.
Where is this one at? Where she's going to be? Is that Indianapolis, maybe?
Yes, Indianapolis.
Yeah, then that's going to be the one I'm at, hopefully.
You get to bring your prom night poster or something to get signed.
Exactly. Get it signed by Curtis and have her sign the Sleeper and say, you should watch this.
Yes.
You know, we met Amy Thiel from Friday the 13th Part 2 at the Columbus Whorehound Convention.
Mm-hmm.
And she was so cool, and we gave her a Sleeper disc to watch.
Oh.
And she gave us an autographed picture, and it was funny. She put "Keep It Real" in 1981. That's what we told her. We were talking about. We laughed to have her put that because that's when Friday the 13th Part 2 was made. Was in '81. So
that is awesome. Actually, I went to that show. I remember one of your actresses were there, and I said, "Is Justin Russell here?" Because it was before
Jessica Cameron was there.
Yes, it was before I ever got the Sleeper, and I was like, I hope he's there so I can get a copy of it. But now I got like a really sweet combo box set. So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you got it. It was funny because I seen your review of the DVD, and then I was printing out all my labels because I'm the one that ships out all the VHS box sets. You know, that's just how it works. It's a small company, and I see your name on the slip. I'm like, oh, hey, Justin's getting himself a box set. That's awesome.
I had to. I had a friend from the UK. He had not seen the movie, and I said, well, I will just order the box set. Comes with the DVD and VHS, and I'm just going to send him my other DVD copy. So
there you go. That's a perfect solution.
I know. It gave me an excuse to get the VHS combo box set, so I was like,
why not?
Heck
why
yes.
the hell not?
Heck yes, I'm going to. I was like, I'm going to watch it on VHS. I have my Hell Night poster next to me, have the Halloween lights on, turn off the lights. It's great. It's a great time.
Man, you are living the dream. You are exactly who I made this movie for. So I'm glad you're getting it and doing everything you're supposed to do when you watch this movie.
It's fantastic, and I also have to say thank you also for this. And I'm showing it off because I'm cool like that. This sleeper, the sorority flyers. So the pink little sorority flyer.
Yes.
That you sent. So I really appreciate that. I have it framed. It's above my DVD collection.
Oh man, you rock.
So,
seriously. No, I like to, whenever I see somebody that has, really done something cool for me as far as a nice review or anything like that, I always try to track them down and get them something. And the flyers were given, there's 500 box sets total, but the first 100 had those flyers, so the other ones didn't, and I just want to make sure you got one of those too, because you did such a cool thing for us, so.
Well, thank you so much, and this was so much fun doing this interview with you, and I really, really appreciate you doing this.
Oh man, pleasure's all mine. I love talking to fans like this, that really got the movie and appreciate it so much. It's very humbling, and I always love doing it.
Well, thank you, and again, everybody, you can get the Sleeper, the VHS combo box set, which I suggest getting, but if you can only get the DVD, that's cool. But you can get it on Amazon, and then can you again name the sites for them so they know where else to get it?
Yes, you can Amazon, and you can get it at gammaknifefilms.com, and we'll ship internationally there. At Amazon, it's kind of hard for that, so it's eBay, but we'll ship internationally at gammaknifefilms.com. You can also get it on eBay. So. Okay,
well, everybody, pick it up. Go pick it up right now, okay? Get it for Christmas. You know what? If you have a horror movie fan that needs a Christmas present, get it. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Halloween gift. Get it as a Halloween gift. So.
Well, fingers crossed, Justin. We're gonna have a Blu-ray for Halloween. So.
Oh, I know. Oh man.
Yeah, that's what we're working with right now. So hopefully we can have that out by Halloween.
Well, you know what? I will have to buy it. So I'm going to. So once it's popped up, I'm going to buy the Blu-ray.
Beautiful, and we will have the VHS version on the Blu-ray as well. So
heck yes! Oh my gosh, it's gonna be fantastic. So
yeah, I know a lot of people don't have VHS player, VCRs and VHS players. So it's like, well, maybe I'll put that version on there so people can see it. So
oh yeah, well, thank you again for doing this, and everybody, pick up the Sleeper, check it out, watch it with friends, watch it by yourself, eat popcorn. Eat your favorite food and drink a good drink with it. Remember, H2O, the way to go. So grab that if you need to.
Way to go, man.